In this week's Torah portion, the Jews start building the Mishkan, the tabernacle. We're told that the women whose hearts inspired them with wisdom spun the goats. Strange phrasing. The Talmud explains that what this means is that these women had remarkable skill. They spun goat hair into the coverings for the Mishkan while the hair was still attached to the goats. Anyone who's ever owned a cashmere garment knows how wonderful goat hair can be. It can create a beautiful, strong, warm, lustrous fabric. But that's not the only reason that God chose goat hair to cover the Mishkan. A few weeks ago, I saw an obscure prayer that some congregations say once a year. And in that prayer, we're told that because Yaakov, took goats to make the meal with which he deceived his father when he pretended to be his brother Esav in order to get the blessing that his father had planned to give to his brother. As a reward for Yaakov's love, God covered the Mishkan with goat hair. Now that's weird. I would have thought that whole scene would be something that we're embarrassed about. Not our finest moment. Yaakov, our patriarch, deceiving his father in order to take the blessing away from his brother. And yet we see from this prayer that God not only condoned that behavior, he applauded it. And he created an everlasting memorial to it, covering the Mishkan with goat hair to remind us of Yaakov's love. What love? His love, perhaps, for the Jewish people. Yaakov was the Ish HaEmes, the man of truth. For him to deceive his father went against everything that he stood for, everything that he believed in. But he sacrificed that due to his love for the Jewish people. He knew how desperately we needed that blessing of prosperity and how much worse Jewish history would have been than it has been if we had not had it. A friend of mine recently told me a story about sacrifice that I've been dying to share with you since I heard it. So a friend of his about 10 years ago started to become observant and decided that he was going to start keeping kosher. So he chose a particular Monday morning on which to start. So Sunday night, the night before, he went to his favorite, delicious, non-kosher hot dog joint in Chicago, Superdawg. And he ordered 3 Superdogs and slowly and lovingly ate each one. And then he saw that the owner of the store was there, so he went over to the owner to say goodbye. And he explained that he'd been a loyal customer for years, but this was his last night. He had just eaten his last Superdogs, so he wanted to say goodbye. The owner said, "What happened? What's going on? Why are you leaving me as a customer?" And he was uncomfortable sharing the reason with the owner. So instead he mumbled something about wanting to be more frugal and being on a budget, and so he couldn't afford it. The owner said, "Young man, wait right here." Went back into his office, came back and said, "I've only done this 2 other times in my entire career as the owner of Superdawg. Here is a free Superdawg for life card." And he gave it to this fellow. And the fellow went home and immediately called his rabbi. "Rabbi, you know how I'm supposed to start keeping kosher tomorrow morning?" "Yes, I'm so proud of you. It's great." "Rabbi, I went to eat my last Superdawg tonight, and I said goodbye to the owner, and he gave me a free Superdawg for life card. Rabbi, what is God doing to me?" So the rabbi thought for a second, and he said, "Let me tell you what God is doing for you, not to you. If you climb a small hill, you don't brag about it to your friends. But if you climb Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest, you tell everybody you know. It's a remarkable life achievement." Now, keeping kosher is not as easy as climbing a small hill, but it's easier than climbing Kilimanjaro or Everest. God is giving you the opportunity to climb the world's highest mountains. He's giving you the opportunity to make an even greater sacrifice when you start keeping kosher. So the fellow thought about it and said, "Rabbi, you're right. I'm going to go through with this." Started keeping kosher, never went back for another Superdawg, but to this day keeps his free Superdawg for life card to remind himself about the sacrifice that he made.